Hello and welcome to the Unshakable Soul podcast. My name is Sophia and I'm your host here on the show. I'm excited to have you with me today as we are on episode 88. I'm bringing to you a conversation that I'd like to have with you, my listeners, on a topic that is very relevant for this day and age that we find ourselves in. And it's the one of finding your center in a world that's just not slowing down and will not slow down for the foreseeable future in probably your life and my life. So the flow of this conversation is going to be as such. I'll start with a little overview on the collective energy we're moving through right now. And then I'll go into the cost of not being in our center. And then I'll add in that element of what that actually means for us women. What does it mean for the modern day woman? Of course, if you're a man listening to this, this is also relatable for you. So take what you like and then leave the rest. And then I'll go into 5 pathways that you can take that will bring you back into your center. And I'll close with a little takeaway and invitation for you, should you feel called to go deeper. So, what are we moving through right now? Okay. Right now, as you probably are already aware, it is a time of great acceleration. Okay, I'm filming this. It's April 14th, 2026. We're in the age of AI. This is nothing new. Information overload. There is this subtle and not so subtle pressure to keep up, to keep producing, to become very efficient, and to always be on and performing to some certain degree. There's also this constant comparison that comes with this, shall I say, hustle society we live in. And I'm speaking mostly about first world country. I'm from Canada. This constant comparison and external noise is inevitably one of the many factors that can lead us outside of our own center, outside of our connection to ourselves, to our truth, to our authenticity. What else is happening in the world? We have wars happening. We have news flashes that generally bring up 98% of the time something detrimental and quote unquote negative that instills fear a lot of times. And adding to that, there's the year of the fire horse that we're in. That adds on more fire. Now, this fire element can be very destructive, as we can see in the news outlets if you listen to the news, or even you can see within yourself or in your close relationships. This conflict, this war, this arguing energy, this I'm right, you're wrong energy, all the ways that chaos and conflict is manifesting itself within ourselves and around ourselves. This day and age is very easily going to bring that about. And let me just add, the last factor is astrology. We are inevitably influenced by what's going on in the celestial realm. The microcosm is just a reflection of the macrocosm and vice versa. So what are the stars saying? Right now we have 6 planets in Aries. And April 17th, we have a new moon in Aries. What does that mean? Aries, fire sign, first sign of the zodiac. Okay. Aries wants to go. Aries wants to take action, which is beautiful. Aries teaches us beautiful lessons in terms of self-leadership, taking initiative, right? Having that courage to take that risk. And of course, it has its shadow aspect. And this is what we tend to see a lot coming up right now that is surfacing. Because a lot of the action is coming from fear. It's coming from, I need power over. I need to feel control. Because deep down I'm insecure and I'm scared of abandonment, of losing everything, of not feeling seen or good enough, etc., etc. Okay? So a lot of anger can be coming up. Impatience, irritability, dominance. And passion, desire. Desire for something new, perhaps. A different way of relating, a different way of being. Fire also brings transformation. This is the element that transforms one matter to the other. Fire brings forward momentum. It's calling us to take action. It's like the fire that's getting lit up underneath your ass. The question is, what energy is the fire getting behind? Is it scarcity? Is it fear? Is it coming from any insecurity that I have not fully healed? Because that's going to lead to a lot of conflict and separation and chaos. Or is it coming from truth, from trust, from alignment, from my place of center? Inevitably, when we're able to wield fire and transform ourselves, which essentially is to integrate all parts of ourselves that have felt ashamed and cast out, we become a healing force, not only for ourselves, but for the collective. And we're no longer afraid to show up authentically and share our truth because we've become unshakable. Nothing shakes us anymore. And if it does, we come back to our centers. We come back to our hearts. And we lean in anyways. And of course, there are moments where that action is more inwards and you're in your introspection. You're in your reflection. Maybe you're in your silence and you're choosing not to say anything. You're not choosing not to act, which is a decision in itself. And that's essentially what Aries is asking of us. It's decide. And sometimes that decision is to say no to that. To not react the same way. To not have that knee-jerk reaction. To not say yes to that offer opportunity. And other times it will be to say yes. But that discernment comes from being in your center, being in your body. And that's what we're going to uncover today in this conversation, in these 5 pathways I love to offer us. And they're connected to our feminine wisdom, to our body, to the cycles that we get to move through each month. So the cost of not being grounded, this may not be news to your ears, but I'll give you a couple, let's say, symptoms to feel into. Your nervous system becomes deregulated. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit here because there's a lot of nervous system talks. And this is by no means saying that you only have to be in the parasympathetic nervous system state of being, which is the rest digest, which is what a lot of people on their healing journeys perhaps think they need to be in. And of course, there are moments where, again, calling back your energy, being more with yourself, allowing yourself to rest. There's also moments to act. The thing is that when you don't feel safe in your body, your action is coming usually from fear, from a place of wounding, from a place of not feeling good enough, from a place of please don't abandon me. And of course, you're not going to say these things, but your actions will speak for themselves. Your energy will speak for itself. And that's what creates conflict. That's what creates chaos within you, and inevitably the manifestation within your relationships and in your life. Another symptom is chronic overthinking. Constantly up in the mind, leading to decision fatigue. Weighing the pros and cons. Or only going to the outside, to your teachers and mentors and gurus or whatever for answers. Forgetting that you're the one and they're just going to reflect back what you believe is possible for you. You're the one that houses your truth. Another cost of not being grounded and centered within yourself is, yes, disconnection from your body. Thus, that would lead to disconnection from being present. Because I'm always worrying about the future or reminiscing about the past. Right? I'm disconnected from the beauty in this moment, from the pleasure, the abundance that is available to me right here, right now. Because what I believe there is a better day to come. So this leads to us waiting on the sidelines of our lives, waiting for sun to come out, to take action and maybe go out. But or else what? You're going to stay inside. It's beautiful to walk in the rain. And when you're disconnected from your body, you're disconnected from your authentic desire. So you're not able to receive what you truly want. Everything's coming back to you. And this is by no means putting pressure on you, but it is bringing the mirror up and saying, where have you been abandoning yourself? Where have you been outsourcing your power? To an entity, an organization, a boss, a partner, a parent, a child? Who's been running the show? And the last symptom I want to offer is this cost of not being grounded in yourself is living reactively instead of intentionally. And this is what a lot of the times creates guilt when we react emotionally. Again, usually from a place of wounding. Instead of responding from a place of truth, love, self-respect, authenticity, self-honoring. Grounding is not a luxury. Reconnecting with yourself is not an option nowadays. It's a necessity. And it is the very foundation and fertile soil from which your actions grow. And from that place, you get to create a new reality for yourself, for your family, your community, for the world at large. Okay? And let me define again, these words are used a lot. I'm going to define the way I have felt and see grounding. Grounding is really a practice of anchoring. I love this word, anchoring. Anchoring myself in the present moment. A lot of the times it's to manage my stress, anxiety, my overwhelm. And it creates this calm, stable, and secure internal foundation from which clarity emerges. Okay, it's a felt sense in your body. Yes, you can describe it, but ultimately it's a felt sense in your body. And when you're grounded, and I'm going to add here aligned, this alignment piece, you begin to move with life. Instead of feeling as though you're in an upward battle with your spouse, with your kids, with yourself, inevitably. So remember, any external conflict that you are undergoing right now or having is a reflection of what has not been completed and integrated within you. There's a conflict within you happening. There is a judgment, a criticism within you. There's perhaps a lack of love or truth. And that's the only work that we have, is always coming back to us and saying thank you for all the triggers that we have in our lives. Our parents, our children, our bosses, our friends, they're all just pointing us back to what has yet to be mended and completed and resolved and integrated and loved within us. And arguably the greatest gift that comes when we really truly find our center and live in alignment, we begin to live with more ease. We are able to be present with what is. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the ecstatic, the blissful. Instead of shaming it, rejecting it, resisting it, or thinking we don't deserve it. We learn to trust ourselves and the universe. And this is arguably the hardest challenge many humans are facing right now, is to trust. Okay. So, honesty check-in. What is out of alignment within you and in your life? And when I speak of alignment here, it's really the cohesion of your mind, body, and your heart. What you believe, what you feel, and what you say at the end of the day. And the incongruency is what causes a lot of dis-ease and conflict within you and around you. It's also related to your values. What matters most to you? And unfortunately, the tendency goes of 10 beautiful things that happened during your day, and maybe one of them was more heavy, let's say, tend to focus on that. What truly matters? The fact that your partner didn't put out the garbage? Or the fact that you're able to share a warm meal with your family? I'm using this as an example, right? But sometimes it's really coming back to the basics and the simple things of life that makes us realize, oh, maybe it doesn't need to be so complex. Okay? All right. So, adding in the piece here for women specifically, what does this mean for women? The fact that we're living in a world that's just going to continue accelerating. Many women have been conditioned to overfunction, anticipating other people's needs, pushing through exhaustion, seeking safety or validation through how much she gives, how much she does externally. This is hardwired in our DNA. Plus, with the onset of basically in our modern day world, women can do anything and be anything, which is beautiful. We've swung the other way. From huge women repression, not being able to vote, staying at home, to now she could be anything. Women have slowly, unintentionally, cut themselves from their source of power, which is their bodies, which is their creative life force energy. That is not only here to make more babies. There is wisdom in here. She is an oracle. She's a portal. And her intuition can see what the naked eye cannot see. This is what's being reclaimed. But if her energy is always out there, worrying about this and that and running around, she is depleting herself slowly or very quickly. And a woman that's depleted is a shriveled up flower. And no butterfly or bird can come enjoy her nectar. The gardens will be filled with frippled flowers, and it is not a healing force for anybody. And this is not to say that the woman has to be open to please anybody else. No. She realizes that when she is in her own pleasure, connected to her body, living authentically and full of life, of juice, then she is a healing force without doing anything. She heals by her own presence, by her own sweet nectar. That's so unique. Yours is unique to mine. And adding here, in times of change and uncertainty, and it's ironic I say that because life is innately uncertain, but we keep on saying unprecedented times, uncertain times, and I'm just like, okay. We have to learn how to navigate and accept and embrace the uncertainty, the void, the not knowing, and start tuning into that place within you, in your center, that does know when to rest, when to act, how to act, what to say, when not to say, who to be with, who to not be with, disengage from. That information is not from another guru. It's certainly not from me. It's from you. from your willingness to tune within and to be honest with yourself. The more the external world will be accelerating, the more your body will need to slow down to feel safe. The more uncertain things feel, the more you need to anchor internally and to come back. So your daily devotional practices, your daily self-care practice is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And that's the daily rhythm that you get to create for yourself. Because everybody has a different schedule. But carving out time for you is the most important thing you can do. For everybody. Okay, and this is where these 5 pathways to come back to your center come into play. Serving as anchors, not as rigid rules to follow, as anchors you can return to. You don't need to do all 5 of them. You can, again, take what you want, leave the rest that doesn't resonate. But choose to at least devote to one. So I'm going to go through them. And I like to keep these practical and accessible. So number 1, it's regulating before you respond. Okay. Your nervous system is not meant to operate at the same pace every day. Okay, as I was mentioning before, there's moments to be in your action, your sympathetic nervous system, from a place of truth, not fear, and to be in your parasympathetic. Rest, digest, receive. Okay. And just like nature, a woman's energy ebbs and flows. This is nothing new to your ears. We have our own seasons within the month. You'll also notice perhaps a rhythm during the week, even your day. Okay, there's a moments for action. Okay, you're getting your follicular energy, your ovulation, usually that action is external. Energies rising and peaking. Conversely, you also have moments of slowing down. You're in an autumn season, your luteal phase, the new moon phase, the winter, your menstrual phase. Things are slowing down, you're shedding, you're setting more boundaries, you're going inwards. So we can ask ourselves, what is my energy like right now? Is it feeling expansive? Like I want to connect out there? Or is it feeling more, I want to connect more in here? And if you're like me, maybe during the day, it's both. But you get to choose who you want to connect to out there and how. The level of connection you're open to in that specific day out there. So again, this could get really detailed. And same thing for going in here. But for now, realizing that, my energy fluctuates. Am I honoring that? This becomes the most important. Okay, and let that inform your response and your actions instead of pushing yourself to always be like a man, like always one level of output, always the same. Doesn't work that way for women. Okay. And coming back to your center really begins the moment you stop resisting your own body and your own truth and expecting yourself to always be the same each day, and we start realizing how much pressure we put on ourselves. And you kind of ask yourself, like, who the fuck is putting this pressure on me? And of course, somebody will say, well, it's my boss, it's my kids, it's my partners. Everybody's pointing to everybody else and doesn't want to take responsibility. Sure, maybe you have deadlines at work and you are not your own boss and you have things to do. But then look at all the things that are under your control, like how you structure your day, your own rhythm during your day. Are you actually taking your breaks? Are you going outside for a walk, going in nature, immersing yourself, unplugged from the computer? Or are you also that person that likes to do everything? Are you putting all the things on your plate? There's so many ways that we drain ourselves of energy. And maybe you're just in the wrong job and wrong environment. And you have no motivation, so you don't meet your deadlines, and that's stressing the fuck out of you. Okay? This is the moment you just have to be so honest with yourself. And I'm not saying quit your job now. This is simply offering you a moment of awareness. So number 1, we're regulating before we respond. We're honoring our energy. Number 2, we're coming back to the body. Again, these are very simple. Okay. And again, many women are disconnected from their body's signals because they've learned to override them. To stay up in the mind, because I always have to make decisions. I always have to be on the go. Got to be vigilant of everything. And again, like, this is hardwiring in women. We have a brain that's not wired the same as men. And I know sometimes that causes frustration within our relationships. And the scope of this episode is that I won't go into that. Maybe drop a comment below if you want me to start talking about men and women dynamics, our masculine, feminine energies within ourselves that cause this tendency to not feel as though she can let go of control. But for today, it's really just honoring, where are you expending yourself way too much, perhaps? Where do you feel you always need to be pushing forward? You see, your body is your greatest ally, and unfortunately, many of us see it as the greatest enemy. And we hear this in the spells we cast with our voices, and I find it so sad, especially women that are aging. Oh, this is saggy. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, I look ugly. Oh, I'm graying. Blah, blah, blah. Sure, your body is just like nature, just like a tree, getting nice and rugged. Just like leaves starting to become drier and more brittle, you too are. And we can learn to work with that, and we can honor each phase with the proper lifestyle habits, and honor also the wisdom that comes with age, with your experiences. And of course, to honor your body. Just because you got saggy tits doesn't mean you're not desirable, doesn't mean you're not a queen, doesn't mean you can't dress up or just feel good in your body. So there's so much subconscious limiting beliefs that we've unfortunately adopted through the generations of what it means to age as a woman, and we lose our value because we can't make babies anymore. And I'm offering us an opportunity to just open the door to another perspective of, what am I gaining? I'm going to come back on track. Come back to just connecting with your body. Feeling what's going on in here. And this is the part a lot of women don't want to see. When we connect with their body, inevitably, when we're really present, a lot of shit's gonna surface. Perhaps it's anger, perhaps it's sadness, tears, betrayal, abandonment. Maybe we're not even naming it. And we don't need to name it. We just need to feel it. Because perhaps we weren't able to feel it because we're always on all the time. So maybe in that moment you are connecting to yourself. It doesn't look like a Om Shanti Shanti meditation. It looks like I'm fucking raging. My fists are pumping on pillows. Or I'm punching the air. I'm wailing. I'm just a fucking mess. Am I okay with that? Can I witness myself in that and allow myself to fetal on the floor, and be there for 2 minutes, for 5 minutes, for a fucking hour? And if any of you know how it feels like after a good cry or a good release, it feels fucking good. So why don't we allow ourselves that more often when it's arising? I'm not saying force your tears, force your rage, but again, honoring our humanness. Remembering that each emotion is communicating something vital to us, especially anger. It generally communicates a boundary that needs to be set, or one that's been crossed, or a part of you that doesn't feel as though she can speak up and show up authentically. Okay, so just notice your patterns. Are there times in the month where you tend to be more sensitive, more irritable? Okay, this tends to come up before the new moon, and this is usually when women state their PMS symptoms coming up, when, wild woman archetype comes online, and whoa, watch out when she does, especially if she's been living out of alignment and just people pleasing all the time. She'll be coming big force and causing a lot of cramps. Okay? Again, there's no judgment here. It's just I'm becoming aware of how my body's communicating to me. And more importantly, what does it need today, in this moment? Maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's a cry. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Maybe it's a bubble bath. Maybe it's self-touch. The more you honor your needs, the more you build trust within yourself. But every time you override your body's signals, you sever that connection, you sever the trust. And no wonder you can't trust anybody else. Because you haven't started to relate it to your own body and trust yourself. Okay? So the work is in starting to learn the language of your body. The textures, the flavors, the nuances, the symphony that happens within here. The divine symphony. All right, let's go to number 3. Simplify and protect your energy. Okay, we're learning to work with our energy, with our cycles. And again, it doesn't mean you need to be menstruating. This is energetic. So even if you're not menstruating, you can still tune in to your inner seasons through the moon, through the cycles of the moon. So coming back to this overarching thematic of acceleration and finding our center in this world that just won't slow down. Overwhelm often comes from trying to do everything at the same intensity all the time. Okay, and here we're realizing in this conversation that you're not meant to be constantly in output production mode. There's a lot of productivity happening when you're in your introspection and reflection mode, when you're coming back inwards, when you're taking more time and space for yourself, when you're just creating for the sake of creating. You're baking cookies because you want to bake cookies, Or you're singing because you're singing. You're doodling because you want to doodle. Who knows what insight can come through in those moments. Okay, not every phase is meant for being visible and making decisions. So we get to honor each phase and pull on each phase's wisdom and gifts. So your high energy phase, you're going follicular phase to ovulation phase. So this is the waxing moon to the full moon. Here is your planning, your strategy phase. You're building here. You're gathering your allies. And your first ally is yourself and your self-belief, because this is the phase of action, outward action. So you trust yourself, you're taking steps, you have that courage, you're taking action. This is also initiative energy. This is very much Aries energy that we're in right now. You're connecting the dots. You're connecting with people. And you're not here to do this alone. Whatever you're creating right now, whether it's a new relationship with yourself, you're in a new relationship with somebody else, you're creating a venture, even creating a baby, it's all the same thing. You're planning a trip. It's all creative energy. It's all coming from within you. So you're riding that upward crescent wave. And then after the peak, then we're dipping down. We're in the waning gibbous phase. This is the phase right now, just before the new moon. Your energy starts to lower. This is when you're starting to edit. You're refining things. You're reflecting, okay, what went well in the previous phase? What can be readjusted? What is complete and no longer needs my focus or attention? This is more time for rest. This is when you say no more often. You're setting boundaries. This is when you're reducing commitments during this inward phase instead of trying to force this external output. In both of these phases, the upward with the crescendo of your energy and the downward, you are actually simplifying. Because one might think, oh, well, I'm just simplifying and cutting back when I'm low energy. No. There's also a simplification that happens when you're in that upward energy phase. Because that's what's going to make it sustainable and avoid burnout. Because what tends to happen is that if I'm doing external action, but I actually don't trust, so I'm trying to do everything by myself and alone, also perhaps because I have a limiting belief that success is hard work, so I just have to be pushing, then this is going to lead to burnout and maybe giving up on whatever your dream is or your goal is. So you want to think of simplifying. We want to think of building alliances. This is also when you start realizing, well, in my external, let's say, a manifestation of my creative energy, so that follicular phase leading up to the full moon, that ovulation, when the woman has more energy, you start realizing, well, who do I want to engage with? Who inspires me? Who challenges me in a constructive way that's bringing me on my growth edge? And who the fuck drains me and just adds negative energy in my life? You become discerning of who you spend time with and what you choose to spend your time on. Okay. And in both phases as well, we call on support. Because to build something, you need support. You're not here to do this alone. Even though you think you can do it better than everybody else, that's just coming from a lack of trust. And that, again, is not sustainable. It leads to burnout, to irritability, and to unfulfillment because you haven't created what it is you really wanted to create. Or maybe you did, but you completely depleted and destroyed yourself in the making. Okay, and of course, when you're in your downward energy phase, you're asking support. Maybe you're delegating more, or you're saying no to things, and you're saying, hey, babe, can you for example, take the kids out or go to this meeting, like I don't have the capacity today, or can you make the dinner? Usually it's your time to make dinner, for example, and you're asking your partner to make the dinner that night because you don't have the capacity. That communication's so important on any phase. And this is very humbling for a lot of women, especially the women that are the go-getters, and I put myself in that pool, the perhaps hyper-independent women, the women that wear the pants, that are not afraid of doing things. This really humbles us because it reminds us of our humanness and our feminine bodies and the wisdom house within us and our ability to actually rest and to take the time to just be in our pleasure and have fun and enjoy the process of creating, of course, and still be in our beautiful outward expression of this creative energy. But it's okay to receive support, to receive help, to not constantly be doing and showing what we're doing. That was a big lesson for me the past few months. All right. Number 4, there's 2 more, so this one and the last one. Number 4 is stay rooted in your truth, not external expectations. Okay? And here is when we realize that your truth is not static, and neither are you. For me, let me define truth. Truth is whatever is real and raw and alive in this moment. So of course it's not static. The thing is that we start realizing the way that we live, we want things to stay static and the same. But as I mentioned, life is always changing. You are always changing. So a lot of us are living out of sync with our natural nature. And we're starting to realign and actually find more flow and find more ease and find more connection and fulfillment by moving with instead of against our natural nature. So staying rooted in your truth. Let me bring back the cyclical wisdom we house as women. Your truth can change, just as your needs and desires change each season, each week, each day perhaps, maybe over a couple of years. Okay, there are different truths. Your summer season, okay, this is outward, it's expressive, it's confident. My truth is that I desire to connect with people. This is your social time. And you could feel this in the summer season too. Maybe you desire that intimacy and that connection, that radiance, or that kind of like ecstatic lover type of energy. Maybe your truth is different from when it's autumn. Autumn season, the fall. You're more discerning. You're clear with your boundaries. You're less tolerant of bullshit. Your bullshit meter's gone way up. Your truth is that actually this relationship doesn't serve me. This relationship is actually toxic. So I'm going to set a boundary here. So we're honoring that truth. We're honoring our truths in every season. And we're meeting ourselves on that threshold because perhaps there's resistance in the summer season to have that intimate connection with said person, for example, or to even go to a festival because you're more of an introverted person. So you're finding yourself on a threshold. You have this deep truth that you're like, oh my gosh, I actually fully feel this authentic desire to go out and connect that way, but I'm on my threshold. Okay, be on that threshold and see yourself through. That's when you transform. And you're allowing that part of you that's in the festival to come online. And she gets familiar. And the more she's familiar, the less scary she is. The less resistance we have. The more alignment we feel within. Okay, and in our winter season, the new moon phase, our truth is more introspective, it's intuitive. It's felt in the void when you can't see clearly. There's no big light in the night sky. You need more space to listen within. Okay, so the invitation here is to revisit your needs and your desires regularly, instead of just locking in one version of yourself for all months and cycles. Okay, you're multifaceted. And we get to honor all of the parts of ourselves. And I'm going to add here the shame around women feeling as though they're changing their mind and they're here and they're there. And this is normal. Okay, be okay with changing your mind. Pivoting is fine as long as it's coming from truth. Commit to the pivot. It's not about being flaky, but it's about honoring your truth. And I know that can feel crunchy when you feel you let somebody down. But the crunchiest is when you abandon your truth, just to keep some sort of connection with somebody else. Okay? So just ask yourself, is this still true for me today? Do I still want to go out with this guy, for example? And I know there's some things that are bigger and take maybe some planning, like if you're doing a big trip and you're planning 3 months in ahead, you want to commit. So ask yourself in that moment when you're making that decision, to book the flights, does this feel aligned? And sometimes that's the part that's hard to discern. Because when you are on your edge, when you're actually following through with something that truly excites you, you may feel some of that nervous system getting because it's something new. That's why all our work is really about building that inner safety. Like, you're okay to take that step. You're not gonna die. Life won't stop moving, or life won't fall apart without you. You're always supported. You can trust. Again, coming back to the trust piece. Okay. The last key I want to bring in to this pathways to find our centers is creating a daily rhythm, or also a monthly rhythm, right? Something you can trust and lean on, especially when things get chaotic and that things are always changing. Again, that's the nature of life and of you. Okay, so this feeling of being in my center, it comes from this rhythm that we honor within us, not from a rigid routine that I need to stick to, that I actually don't really enjoy. You get to create that rhythm. Okay, think of it in phases instead of like a perfect schedule. And you are the one that creates it, not anybody else. So for example, you can have I call them daily anchors. Your morning anchor, arguably the most important. You're checking with yourself the moment you wake up. How do I feel? What do I need? Ideally before the sunrise, when you're really entering very peaceful time of the day, of the atmosphere. You may have a midday check-in, like a pause, recalibration. You're stepping outside, you're taking some fresh air. If you've been at your computer a lot and alone, maybe you're going out for coffee with a friend, or you're simply stepping out to walk in nature, to unplug. Your evening check-in could be a gentle reflection, journaling, reflecting on maybe one win or something you're proud of, or a moment of connection, of joy during the day you had, and maybe a challenging moment you had, right? And a little prayer of release, letting that go, coming back to gratitude. Maybe you want to add a little yin practice, something for your body that's somatic to help release and ease your way into a restful sleep. Okay, so we can have these anchors daily, and we can also have them monthly. Right? So again, recapping, when you're in your bleed or it's in the new moon phase, this is about rest, more reflection, inner envisioning. You're going inwards. So inviting that more and more in your daily rhythms and rituals. When you're in your rising energy, follicular phase, the waxing moon, this is when you start planning, taking small actions. So maybe you're going to write down each morning, okay, what is one small action I could take today that will bring me closer to my goal or my intention? What am I initiating today? When you're at your peak energy in the full moon, this is your connection. This is you giving that presentation or hosting that party or being out there in a social gathering, expressing yourself fully, being visible. Okay, when you're winding down, you're in that shedding phase, the waning moon phase. You're completing things. You're not adding more to your list. You're completing. You're finding closure. You're also starting to create more space, preparing yourself for that inward journey during the new moon. You might be editing and refining things. You're also reflecting on what happened in the last phase, what went well, what didn't go so well, what was challenging. You're starting to integrate. As you integrate, you find that completion, and that helps you ease into a nice resting phase in the next cycle. Okay, so this rhythm becomes your stability in a world that is not slowing down. And when you live in this way, living from your center, from your truth, from your alignment within, you stop fighting yourself and you stop fighting life or resisting the natural flow of life. You stop expecting constant output, constant clarity, constant energy from yourself and from others. And instead, you start building a new, healthier relationship with your body that is based on trust and love. Okay, so you're not controlling life, you're not controlling your body, but you're learning how to move with life and with your body instead of abandoning yourself. So that was it. Those were the 5 pathways back to your center. And just as a little wrap up and reminder, you don't need to master all these five pathways. You can choose one that resonates for you and stick to that and try it out for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Okay. And this groundedness and center it doesn't mean you have to stay calm all the time. This is the beauty of cyclical wisdom and working with your own creative energy. There is moments where you honor, of course, what's moving through you, and that could be rage, that could be grief, that could be excitement and bliss and pleasure and ecstasy. Are you honoring that? That's the only question. Are you channeling that in a way that's constructive and adds beauty and healing to yourself and to life and to others, instead of creating walls and separation and extra conflict and dissonance and disconnection? Okay, so what we're doing essentially is returning to ourselves and sourcing from there. Sourcing my words, sourcing what I choose to believe and my thoughts, sourcing how I choose to act and respond. So if you feel called to share in the comments which one of these 5 pathways felt like something within you kind of pulled you forward or softened, or that you were curious to try out, I'd be curious to know. And hold yourself accountable to it. Maybe tell a friend, you're going to try this out. You're going to try out this morning check-in or taking a walk at midday to reconnect with yourself. Or maybe you're going to set that boundary. Whatever it is for you. Okay? So you're allowed to move at your pace, even if the world doesn't. And this is the work. And only move as fast as you can stay aligned. All right, we're complete. For those that do want to venture deeper, I'll invite you to a group container that I've created called The Alchemy of Desire. This is an 8-week initiation that I'm starting April 25th. And it's all about claiming your desires instead of waiting for them. And we're going to work in the realm of alchemy, because what I've noticed within myself and other women I have coached over years is that when we are actually calling in and asking for what we want, there comes a moment when we actually block that from entering. So a lot of the work we will be doing the first half is inner work. It's inner healing. It's realizing all the ways that we're blocking ourselves from receiving what we truly desire. And the next part is going to be more outward focused, more about taking action, more about stepping into your truth and becoming what you wish to seek and what you wish to receive, becoming your desires and living from that place instead of waiting for it. So if you're interested, the description is in the show notes, and I'm happy to have a call with you to make sure it's a good fit. I also have private mentorship. I have 1 spot open for the rest of the spring until mid-June about, and that will also be in the description. All right, and always grateful for you to share if you feel you want to share this episode to any colleagues, friends, or families that you believe would resonate with this thematic. Always grateful. All right, loves. Take care. See you soon.